Well, hello, happy fall. I'm Joanna Clark with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching. I'm here to talk about the fall time change. Yep, it's that time of year. So I'm going to probably be referring to some of my notes because I have a lot to tell you, and I want to make sure I get everything that is going to make this easier for your children and for you as the parent. Okay, so here are the pros of this fall time change. Number one, we get more sleep. This is really good. Often the fall time change is a lot easier for people than the springtime change. So this should be easier for your family overall. The con is obviously less sunlight, but the less sunlight in the evenings is really quite beautiful to help bedtime become earlier, which is a big asset for very busy families where the children are eating dinner earlier, going to bed earlier, and that means a little bit more free time for parents in the evening to spend time with each other or to have their own personal time to unwind and get to bed on time so that they are not as overexhausted. So you get the bonus hour of sleep, you get a bonus hour in the morning, which is great, and the kids get drowsy earlier. So that is one of the reasons why I feel like the fall time change is easier for everybody. Now, I do want to let you in advance that a con of this fall time change is it can trigger something called early rising behavior. And early rising behavior is defined as a child waking up somewhere between 4 and 6 a.m. And during that time, they will either be awake and stay awake, which is really challenging, or they will have an arousal between 4 and 6 a.m. They'll be up for a certain period of time, and then they'll fall back asleep and then wake up after 6 a.m. The key thing about early rising is I am going to speak about it at the very end after I guide you how to get through this time change, because the more you understand early rising, the more you can make sure you don't solidify that as a behavior. Okay, so what to do? There are two ways to adjust to this fall time change. There is the gradual way, which I'm going to explain, and there's the just in time. Okay, so the gradual way is best done for children that are sensitive to transitions in general, or you've already found that your child is sensitive to time change transitions in general, whether that be time changes when you travel or seasonal time changes. So if you have a child like that, the gradual change is the way to go. So what does it mean to be gradual change? What it means is that you are going to take their meal times, their nap times, and their bedtimes, and you are going to move them that up all by 15 minutes. And you will do that for 2 to 3 days. If they're doing well and no early rising is being triggered, you're going to move it up yet again by 15 minutes for 2 to 3 days, same time, all meals, all naps, all bedtimes. If it's still going well, move it yet again. The idea is that moving up by 15-minute increments, by giving at least 2 to 3 days between moving up the meals, naps, and bedtimes, that by the time we get to the fall time change, they will have already moved up a full hour so that when we fall back, they are now already adjusted to the new time frame. Now, one thing to note when you do it this way is that oftentimes a child's digestion will start to change along with the change of meal times, nap times, and bedtimes. So there is a gradual change, but there is some fallback that you will start to notice. Now, if you do the gradual and you find that your child is starting to do early rising behavior, meaning waking up between 4 and 6 a.m., that means you've pushed them too far and you need to stop, move back 15 minutes, and then hold that until you get all the way to the real fall time change that's going to happen in November. Okay. Now, the just in time is obvious, which means that on the day that the fall time change happens, you wake up and you immediately operate off the new clock, and you move all meal times, nap times, and bedtimes to the new clock. This is a great strategy for families that don't have a lot of time for planning and execution. This is great for families that have flexible children, that they can just pop them on the new schedule, and it will take a little bit of time for everybody to adapt, but generally it's not too disruptive. I will tell you that the just in time is often preferred because it takes a lot of effort to do the gradual and to do the gradual well. And so just kind of be honest with yourself of what kind of person you are and what kind of obligations you have on your family schedule going into this time change to be able to follow one method or the other. I also just want to mention in the situation with both the gradual or the just-in-time time change, that for children that are 2.5 years or older, they can sometimes have a harder time. And one way to help them is to implement the use of a tot clock. And a tot clock will help them understand time, meaning, if the light is red, it's time for bed, or if the light is green on the clock, it means it's time to wake up. I personally really like the Hatch as a tool for the tot clock. And the reason why I like it is because it is app generated. And what I mean by that is the Hatch is in the room and you've already designated, what light you want your child to understand. Light is red, it's time for bed. Light is green, time to get up. Maybe you have a different pattern for naps, but on your cell phone, on your app, you can immediately right in that moment change what time you want the light to turn the color. So as you're adapting the different bedtimes and nap times, you can quickly make the adjustments right there on your app versus going to these traditional tot clocks that require you to get the direction book out and fiddle with it. And it takes a lot of time and effort. So that's why I like the Hatch. I will put a link to this Hatch so that you can easily order it if you need it. They're very affordable. You can get them on Amazon. It's super easy. So I do like that. But kind of circling back to whether you do the gradual approach or you do the just-in-time approach, I just want to emphasize again that the con of this time change is the propensity for early rising to start. And the problem with early rising is once it starts, it takes on a life of its own, and it can become a very stubborn behavior to unravel. So if you are finding that the early rising behavior is starting, then I'm going to give you some recommendations on how to handle it. I should also tell you that this fall time change typically can take about 2 weeks for a child to fully regulate to it. All right. Now, early rising, again, is waking up between 4 and 6 a.m. So if your child's doing that as part of this time change, please keep them in their room or in their crib until 6 a.m. Do not expose them to food or sunlight before 6 a.m. If you do, you will perpetuate the early rising behavior. And like I said, once it starts, it's very stubborn. The other thing you want to do is if you keep them in their crib or their bed until 6 a.m., that when you do allow them to get up and out, you want to establish a morning ritual of turning on the light and then greeting them good morning and then letting them come out of bed. We want to create what a bedtime routine looks like so the children know what that looks like. And you also want to create a routine of what they expect from you to determine what morning routine looks like. Okay, so keep that in mind. The other thing to do about early rising is around this fall time change is if we make an effort to expose yourself as the parent and the child to sunlight outside before 10 a.m., at least 10 to 20 minutes, that can absolutely help the transition to the new time change happen faster and easier. The worst thing you can do is to have your child wake up in darkness and meander around the house in darkness while you're trying to wake up and get your coffee started. It's really important to establish that routine. We get up, the lights are on, we get dressed, we go and expose ourselves to light before 10 a.m. And trying to do that in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the time change will really make things a lot easier on your child and on yourself to be able to adapt. And I do want to let you know that if after 2 weeks and you've done the recommendations that I've offered and you're really struggling with your child with early rising or other new behaviors that are showing up, please don't hesitate to reach out and get sleep support. Okay. There is absolutely no reason to live in a sleep deprived haze because your child is not sleeping. There is always a pathway to reestablish healthy sleep habits for your child. Remember, my philosophy is I'm a gentle sleep coach. I do not believe in cry it out. I believe that sleep is a learned skill, and we can create the right environment and right circumstances for your child to learn their sleep skills so that it is very easy for them to fall asleep and stay asleep all night long and to wake up happy, alert, and well rested. And if you are finding that is not your reality right now, avoid going to the blogs, avoid going, unless it's my blog, of course, but avoid, getting all these opinions from all your friends or family. Like, just go ahead and call the sleep expert, right? So I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've helped thousands of families. I really consider myself to be a really good sleep detective. So if something is happening and you're having sleep struggles, I'm usually the one that can figure it out. That's like my pride and joy, is to get the tough cases and get in there and figure it out and give you actionable steps that you can take to resolve these easily, peacefully, with minimal tears, with minimal frustration. Again, I do not believe in cry it out. So we want to make this as easy as possible for everybody, you and your children. Okay. Because sleep is all about family harmony. And that is what I want for all my families. In fact, I have a saying that I am on a well-rested family revolution, which means that I do not believe a family needs to struggle with sleep when there is help to be had. And that what we should be living in this day and age is a well-rested family revolution with well-rested children, well-rested parents, so that we can go out and do all the things we need to do in this complex world. So I am hoping that this helped you. I want you to know I'm always here to support you. I will do a link to the hatch. I will do a link to more information on how to get in touch with me if you should need to get that expert sleep support from a tenured expert. You could talk to me directly. I can assess your individual situation and give you the customized support that you need to help solve any sleep issues. And stay tuned for more information about early rising. About 2 to 3 weeks after this time change, I'm going to be doing some more information on that to help problem solve for those of you that are in the thick of it. So thank you so much, and happy fall. It's a beautiful time of year.